Hi, my name is Dominique von Rohr. I'm with Switzerland Global Enterprise, the official investment promotion agency for Switzerland. And I'm very pleased to have Marieke Hood with me today to talk about Switzerland as a hub for digital innovation. Thank you very much for joining me, Marieke. So to start, maybe could you briefly introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your work at the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm Marieke Hood. I'm Executive Director Impact at GESDA, the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator. It's a foundation that was created by the Swiss government in 2019 to anticipate future scientific breakthrough and maximize their impact for humanity. My role there is to develop initiatives that bridge scientists, startups, large tech corporates, and also diplomats and philanthropic organizations to look at how we can make the most of these technologies for humanity. And in the most recent years, I've been working in particular in quantum computing, neurotechnology, and synthetic biology applied to nature ecosystems.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. So, Marieke, in one sentence, why should a tech company consider Switzerland for expansion?
We have in Switzerland a unique mix. GESDA works globally, but in Switzerland we have this very specific mix and the density that combines first the scientific academic excellence, second, a density of large tech corporates and startups that help drive the translation of science from the lab to the real-world applications. And we also have a political stability, which is extremely important, of course, in our current turbulent times.
Yeah, very good. Maybe we can expand a bit on that. So within Europe, there are other tech hubs. It's not just Switzerland. So what would you say sets Switzerland apart from these other tech hubs in Europe? Maybe the top two advantages that Switzerland has over other locations in Europe?
So the close proximity of the very best universities in Europe. We have, I think, 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, of the 10 best engineering universities in Switzerland. All of that within 2 to 3 hours of each other. That's a very important one. We also have within the range of these universities, the R&D hubs of large corporates like IBM in Zurich, Google AI. We have the CERN in Geneva, which is the best research center in the world in physics, which is, of course, the underlying science that allows for a lot of the new digital technologies to be invented and to happen.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Maybe if we can move a bit to the topic of trust. So I think it's fair to say that trust is very important for digital businesses today, and it's becoming more important. Where do you think Switzerland's governance culture, and with that I mean its neutrality or it's the legal certainty that we have here, or also its position with data protection. So where does that make the biggest difference for companies that come and scale their technologies here in Switzerland, especially if they're sensitive technologies?
Regarding trust, it's one of the reasons why GESDA was created in Switzerland by the Swiss government. One of the core mission of GESDA is to look how we can govern the emergence of new technologies like neurotech, like quantum, like AI, like synthetic biology, for instance, or geoengineering technologies, in a way that is responsible, but also allows for innovation to happen. So finding the right balance between the capacity to innovate, but always in an ethical and responsible way. Switzerland has a very long tradition into that. There's a deep field of expertise that has developed here within, of course, the business sector, but also with the international organizations that we have here, ITU, ISO. The standardization component is, of course, extremely important to bring not only the trust and the stability that allows for scaling technologies, but but also the interoperability that makes the convergence between very different fields easier, but also faster, and that's where most of the breakthrough will happen, at the interface between different technologies.
Very good, thank you. So maybe returning a bit to your work at the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator. So the foundation maps emerging science and technology to societal impact, right? So when foreign companies consider Switzerland for expansion, or they already decided, how can they engage with you? How can they benefit, or are there collaborations that they can enter with the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator, or is there a program or something that you could talk about?
Yeah, of course. But they don't have to come to Switzerland to engage with GESDA. GESDA has a large global scope, so we operate in many different countries with many different scientists. There's more than 2,000 scientists that collaborate with GESDA across 40 domains. So the first way companies can work with us is first look at our GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar, which maps what those scientists anticipate as future scientific breakthrough in their field in 5, 10, 25 years.
That's so interesting.
It's a mapping of future scientific breakthrough that is a public common good that is also supported, of course, by our funders, including the Swiss government, but also the philanthropic organizations that support GESDA to put this common good at the disposal of everyone in the planet. So that's one key way to engage with GESDA. Keep in touch with the GESDA radar. We have a summit, a GESDA summit, that happens every October, where we look at bridging the conversation with business. And next year will be even bigger. It will be at Palexpo in Geneva, with even more contributions from the private sector. So I encourage business and companies to come to GESDA and also look at how they can leverage this knowledge and expertise in their own field. And then for the part that I'm more responsible about at GESDA, we have specific initiatives in quantum computing, in brain-computer interface in particular, and in ecosystem or resilience nature, supported by, again, future science, including synthetic biology. So for these, what we're looking at for is expertise, but also the willingness to allow access to these technologies for all. And we have a lot of businesses that contribute to this work. Most of the quantum providers contribute, for instance, to the Open Quantum Institute, which is the institution that GESDA has created to allow access to the benefits of quantum computing for all, and which is now hosted at CERN.
Maybe we can talk a little more about the Open Quantum Institute, because you founded this, right? You were part of its foundation. And maybe you can take it as an example to kind of illustrate Switzerland's approach to translating emerging science into innovation and collaboration as part of the work that you do.
The Open Quantum Institute is a new institution that illustrates really the core of the mission of GESDA. We started with the Science Breakthrough Radar. Quantum scientists told us quantum computing could revolutionize a lot of sectors, from pharma, accelerating the development of new drugs, to energy management, energy transport, of course, material sciences, the financial sector, and so on. So that's the starting point. Then we thought, as GESDA, with our academic, scientific, but also diplomatic community, the brief was, how can we make sure that this disruption will benefit all, but will also be beneficial to help us solve, or at least be part of the solution to solve our global challenges, from climate change to resistance to antimicrobial resistance and so on. And the last part is, how can we avoid creating a new digital divide? So managing this future revolution in a responsible way, as we said before, creating trust by society, the adopters, that with this technology, we can do better than what we have done with some other technologies where the benefits are not distributed as equitably as we'd wish. So based on that, we've worked with quantum industry providers that have, like, for instance, AWS, IBM, also Google Quantum AI, but smaller companies like Pascal, like Cubraid, and so on. Most of the quantum community has embraced this mission. And what they're doing is they're donating capacity on quantum simulators, quantum processors as well, QPUs, to help teams of researchers that GESDA and the Open Quantum Institute puts together to explore how quantum computing can help with our global challenges. So we have teams of UN organizations, like, for example, the WHO, GERDP, with a quantum scientist that look at how we can accelerate the discovery of new antibiotics. How can we detect illegal mining by leveraging data sources and the quantum computing capacity, which is completely different to what we have today. Yeah. So that's what the Open Quantum Institute does.
And it does all of this in CERN in Geneva, right? It's located.
Yes. So with GESDA always initiates the idea, tests in a very small scale, like an incubator, if the idea would work of such an institution. So we have prototyped this at GESDA, but then very quickly the objective is to find a host for these institutions that can help scale the institution, but also, of course, its activity, its programs, and give it the global resonance that it needs to make an impact. And for the Open Quantum Institute, CERN was, let's say, an obvious choice. And we're very happy with the partnership with CERN, which has been very fruitful. Today, the Institute has been in operation for 2 years. It was a pilot, but we're already looking at making it more stable, like more sustainable for at least the next 5 years, starting from 2027. And also to scale its ambition and scope.
Fantastic, very interesting. So maybe moving a bit away from quantum now and putting the focus on AI, because that's a very hot topic at the moment. So what do you think makes Geneva a credible place to shape governance around AI?
Yeah, AI is pervasive to all of the fields we work on. So when we talk about brain-computer interface and the capacity that such solutions would maybe allow also, for instance, paraplegic to walk again, if we look at how we can intervene to improve the resilience of ecosystems and where should we intervene, then AI is very, of course, accelerating all of these discoveries. At the same time, it needs to be governed in the right way. And in Geneva, we have a lot of the institutions that are looking at the governance of these technologies, international institutions. I've named already ITU, the standardization organizations like ISO, but also the World Intellectual Property Organization. So all of these institutions are working towards governance and regulation of AI that is conducive to making it beneficial to all, leaving no one behind. And we are very proud that GESDA is also contributing to this work.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. So that was a very interesting talk. I think to conclude, I have a last question for you, and it's a bit of a tricky one. So, Marieke, what's one misconception about Switzerland that you would like to correct for founders in the digital space?
Yeah, one misconception, I don't know if it's a misconception, it's a fact that Switzerland is an expensive country compared to what you see in similar locations. Now, what I would like to correct is the feedback I get from entrepreneurs who are operating in Switzerland, maybe also with other hubs abroad, is that there's a lot of productivity gains that they can find in Switzerland. There's also a lot of efficacy and efficiency in the way way that the Swiss system operates, this political stability that also, of course, helps with scaling a business in a time where it's sometimes difficult to make some decisions as to where would be the most stable environment to plan the scaling of a company. So all of these advantages offset what is sometimes seen as an immediate cost.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights. They're very interesting. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.